Hello, everybody, and I'm joined with DFJ.
Hello.
Right, so we're hoping that people are going to post some questions for us. Really, we're keeping an eye on the chat. Oh, in the meantime, though, Should we discuss what's the letters that went on today from Perez?
Yes, and actually, Max brought up something about how Cassidy did her video this morning, and I actually did you watch that? It was really quick. It was like 13 minutes.
I haven't yet, but that's because I'm really limited with what I can download. Because just to remind everyone, if the sound's not great, I am really sorry. Yes, I know I need a new microphone, and I do have one for my videos when I get home. But right now, I'm still on a cruise ship in the middle of the Mediterranean Ocean, so I am it's me, my laptop, and the ship Wi-Fi, and I am doing my best. But no, I haven't had a chance to watch Cassidy's video. It is on my to-do list.
Well, I was going to just say that she she was I think she was very disappointed in the judge once again letting people get doxxed on the docket. And I'm pretty sure for Cassie, this was impromptu, and she just put up the recording, basically scolding the judge because once again, it was like there was those 3 documents today that had the phone numbers it was in the motion to compel, I think, the privilege log. Yes, this is what it was. And it's just like, how does this keep happening? And then all the judge does is he responds and says, okay, like seal docket number, whatever. But he never admonishes the lively party who continues to dox people.
Yeah, that is getting a bit old now. It's once there's a mistake, when you start doing it repeatedly, then that's unforgivable, really. Yeah. I mean, I also don't like Perez, the fact that they put the images of Perez's children as well.
Oh my goodness.
Well, there's an argument. I'm playing devil's advocate here from a legal perspective now, but there's an argument to say, well, he's put them on public social media or on website. I'm not sure where they are, but it looked like they were, they weren't in a family photo album. They were somewhere public. But I still don't like that because that is his choice. They're his children, and he has made, a choice, and that's their personal photos to him. And if those are ones he's chosen to share, that's not for lively then to regurgitate that. And you don't know who he's got blocked, like in the social media setting, he can control who sees that.
Exactly. And the purpose, apparently, so they quote his bio for one of the photos. It's him and his children on his website in the bio section. And the whole point, like Gottlieb was trying to say, is that Perez is not a real journalist. But in that bio, it says he's a columnist. So it didn't actually serve the purpose that allegedly they were putting it, using it as an exhibit for, except, to put the photos of this non-party and his minor children, which I just think is unacceptable.
Yeah. It crosses a line.
It definitely crosses the line. And like, I have a conspiracy theory kind of that something that like maybe Anita or CJ would appreciate, because I feel like Anita always has her conspiracies. But I was telling the Subpoenagate story to my grandparents, and I was about Perez, the whole thing with like Perez and his filings and how funny it was. And the whole time they thought I was talking about Paris Hilton and not Perez Hilton. And they're like, oh, she's so lovely. Why? Like, we remember seeing her in person before and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, no, they've missed this whole thing. And I know on the docket, he always says his name, like Mario, whatever.
Yeah. But Diana Jr.
Yeah.
I've learned it now.
Yeah. I do secretly wonder if like they wanted to make sure the judge didn't think this was Paris Hilton. So they put his photo. But again, it doesn't excuse them putting his kids. And I also do think it was a threat, to him to do that.
Well, yeah, it could be taken that way. And Sean here says, if anyone had put photos of her 4 kids on the docket, she would blow a gasket. Didn't they actually do that? Didn't they sue someone to taking photos of their kids.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll have to find that case. But I remember there was a stink about someone taking photos of their kids, and I'm fairly sure it ended up in a lawsuit. And I was looking at that case as well at the start of all of this. So I'll have to find it again and give it to Perez to quote it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's a good transition if you had the because he had 4 letters hit the docket today.
Yeah. Yeah, some of which we knew was before the judge's ruling.
Mm-hmm.
And some have been since. But I agree here with Natalie as well. He is a journalist. He has he's not just a content creator. He has like a whole news website.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he extends beyond just a content creator in the true sense. So yeah, definitely, I agree. He is a journalist. He should be considered a journalist. And the reason they are trying to downplay the definition of journalist applying to him is obviously so they can try and, you know, remove him from the privilege that comes with that.
Yes, and then Elizabeth Wilson said the judge is acting as if Perez is working for Wayfarer and taking instruction from Friedman, but Perez actually made a really good point in one of his videos this week, and he said, he's like, don't you think if I like was actually working for Wayfarer, they would get me legal counsel to make sure that I didn't risk them getting access to any documents? And he's like, obviously they're not. Like they're not. He's like, and he said he's not worried if it gets worst case scenario, and if he does end up having to turn everything over, he's not worried because he doesn't have anything.
Yes, Riley, that's it. See, yes, they went after a journalist in the past, and they claimed that he was trying to get pictures to sell of their newborn daughter, but it was made up just to litigate the guy into debt.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I knew there was something there. Because I am limited as well. So the other thing is, I have got the dockets in front of me in case I need to refer to anything, but I am quite limited with what I can catch up with. And Subpoenagate did take me out for quite a while. So there's been a lot going on that I'm still a little bit behind with, but thankfully you are a little bit more up to speed, I think, than me, TFJ.
Mostly, and honestly, I think at the end of the day, I think that Subpoenagate is going to be like a musical, and I think Perez is going to star in it, and just like reading some of these filings because he does very great dramatic readings, but it is absolutely, it's one of the most insane things I've ever seen. Like everyone, and I still can't believe you were subpoenaed. Like.
I will never get over that. Like it's a party point, you know. Like you know when it's like, oh, what's the most interesting thing that's ever happened to you? Now, it's not like, oh, when I become a mum or when I become this. It's like when Blake Lively subpoenaed me.
Yeah.
And claimed I was part of a smear campaign, which in her own words not her own words, in words that she took authorship of, is untraceable.
Yes.
That's interesting. Yeah, that gets some giggles.
I mean, you should frame that subpoena and put it on your wall.
Oh, I'm going to. I'm at merch coming. It's going on T-shirts as well. And because she did a typo, she dropped the one at the end of my handle. It's going to be something like Blake Lively dropped one.
Yeah. No, and to this day, I will never think that was a mistake. In my opinion, I think that was deliberate, and because they know who you are, you know.
Oh, absolutely. If I hadn't been notified of it, I would not have known. I wouldn't have. Well, until the point when Kevin Fritz unsealed the documents.
Yes.
At that point, I would have found out about it. Yeah, definitely, because that was wild. I mean, that only happened like about, I think, the day after or the day of me actually filing the motion to quash, and I had my motion to quash written within less than 48 hours. So that's the notice I had to go.
Yeah, and then
But it is, yeah.
she on a Sunday, Ezra withdrew everyone who had done their motions to quash, so that the judge wouldn't see them. I mean, that's just how good you guys did. And it's crazy that these high-powered lawyers were so worried about the judge reading what you guys wrote in your motions to quash that she withdrew it on a Sunday so that he wouldn't even see it on Monday.
But going back to Perez, he actually attached my motion to quash in his filing. So Judge Lyman still has to see it.
Well, but now his motion to quash is in Nevada, right?
His motion to quash is, but he filed a notice, or was it the protective order? One of the two.
That's right. Yes.
And he attached Lauren's letter and my motion to quash.
Good for him.
But with my own letter to the judge, which we read the other day, my entire Exhibit A was my motion to quash. So the judge was going to see it one way or another.
Good. That's so smart. You guys are very, very smart. And when does he have to respond to your letters for protective order and sanctions?
I mean, we're not expecting anything. There's no set time here for him. He can take his own time. You know, he can with nearly everything that's in front of him. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not expecting anything. I don't think the girls are either. The other people who filed the letters. So, we just wanted our written objections to what Ezra Hudson, she portrayed it. We wanted to make sure it was on notice, especially for Ashley, who, you know, has a PR business. So,
yeah,
her reputation was at stake, which was not a fair situation for her to be in at all, because the implications were obviously, well, you gave us what we want, you know, and implying we were working with her, but, you know, we weren't working with anyone, so they got nothing from us. So, yeah. So that's why we did the letter, and we had to note 1 day's notice for that, because we obviously, well, one day, because she withdrew on the Saturday, kind of late on the Saturday, and filed her letter, and we were for a little while, we still thought, oh, we've got until the 5th of August, but no, we had to get a response on, because the judge didn't give us our response to Ezra Hudson, because he immediately denied it as moot. Like, it's literally like he woke up on the Monday morning and it's the first thing he did before he got out of bed.
I've never seen him respond to anything on this docket that quickly. I mean, that was like immediate. This whole thing is just bananas. Yeah, Judge Lyman, I have a lot of questions about him. And, you know, I mean, I'm so far gone. Like before I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt for so long. And you know, and then I was just like, no, something's wrong with this guy. And then I kept thinking someone like you were going to bring me out of the dark side. Like somehow you're going to say something logical and let me see that the judge was totally normal. But now I just keep getting further and further thinking like this guy doesn't even try to hide it.
I'm concerned by some of the rulings, I will say that. There are others that I'm not really sure whether they're good rulings or not. I can see the legal logic behind them, but it also makes me wonder how much stretching and bending did he have to do to kind of make that look okay. But it definitely feels like the decisions themselves are not necessarily unsound. It's the comments we're now starting to get from him that I don't like. Things like that footnote the other day where he said Wayfarer have, yeah, they've been using the docket to litigate in the press. No, that's an opinion. Where's he getting that opinion from? Well, he's getting that from Lively. Because Lively keeps saying it. But Lively's also been doing that too. TMZ notified the three content creators of their subpoenas.
Yeah, before they were even served.
It's in my letter. If he reads my letter, he will hear about this. But if he's reading the news, right, and forming this opinion on Wayfarer, then he's got to be reading the news about the stuff Lively's doing. But I don't think he is. That's why I think we were seeing it one-sided, and he's listening to what Lively's lawyers are saying.
And also the news isn't really covering this as, I don't think, as accurately as they could. They do get their talking points from Lively and run with it. And I saw some comment, like, I think maybe it was even from Cassidy, that said, people she was talking to thought the case was over already and that Lively had already won based on like the headlines and stuff.
Well, no, I'm not there. There's a long way to go here. I don't think she's won anything yet. I think we're a long way from that. Missy wants to know, what about the other subpoenas?
I know.
We're still trying to find out. So the ones that weren't challenged, literally, if anyone challenged a subpoena, she seemed to withdraw it immediately. The ones that weren't challenged, I can only assume that the data, unless the tech companies themselves have challenged it, which we've seen nothing on the docket for, then the data has been handed over, is my assumption. That may mean nothing really, because with the X one, there was 20 people on the subpoena, so that was the biggest subpoena, had the most number of accounts on it. But only a couple of accounts were actually either active or not suspended. There was only a few accounts, one of them being mine, that were even active accounts. So
and yours wasn't the only one that was spelled wrong. I actually, because when I went through, I was checking them, and there was like one or two other ones that weren't coming up, and I like added it like an extra letter or something at the end, and then they would come up, and I was like, oh, okay, I see. Like, I feel like that's why I don't think your the typo was an actual typo for yours.
No, I'm not convinced. I'm really not, but I can't. It's something I can't prove. I mean, she did come out and admit, it's in the letter. I've got a letter saying, yes, it should have been my account. This should have been the correct spelling. So from that perspective, I'm clear in my mind that it was definitely me, which is what we knew anyway.
Yeah.
I had a whole process in my motion to quash. I went through an entire process of deduction where I was like, the account name Kiara J200 does not exist. Here's the one and only option that it gives you when you try to search for it.
Yeah, when you search it, it just comes up with you anyways.
Comes up with me. So there's no one even close, actually. And the chances that there would be one with a similar account name, who, too, also covered this case, was going to be minimal to non-existent. So that's where we are. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen with the other people, and we're now hearing that there are, by the sounds of it, other subpoenas as well. So
like international and in Spanish, and it's like, I mean, I don't know what they're doing. If this is like some kind of like, it's beyond a fishing expedition at this point. I'm like, what are they doing? Do they really think the smear campaign is originating in Argentina?
Well, those are a couple of accounts we know of from these subpoenas, and they happen to be kind of sort of Spanish or South American type accounts. But they do. I don't know. I'm guessing that they're international. I can't imagine that these subpoenas have also come from New York, because there will be a whole process to follow. However, if she has started on the international subpoenas, I will be totally honest and say that I am waiting with bated breath to find out if people like myself and
subpoenaed again.
yeah, if we're back on and we've got another fight ahead of us, but I don't know. Oh, welcome to the channel, Sean. Thank you for becoming a member. Oh, bless.
Well,
so yeah, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say that's why I really appreciated that Kevin Fritz had put the subpoenas as an exhibit the last time. And I mean, I don't know if they are even have a reason or chance to do that again this time, but just because so that everyone could check for their own sakes. Because I mean, yeah, the fact that we only know I've only heard of one, maybe two from the 60 additional content creator subpoenas, but that's like a little nerve-wracking. And the date has long passed already. I think the one from Argentina, he said like the response date was like July 31st or something.
Yeah, no, that's true. 31st of July. That was the date of our response.
Oh, wow.
So, and that was for subpoenas dated the 3rd of July. I don't know what, I mean, again, I don't know if this is a whole different batch or, you know, if they've got the same dates. We just don't know enough about these new subpoenas. I know CJ in particular is trying to find out because she speaks Spanish, so she is trying to, she's keeping an eye out and translating information back to us because obviously we need to know and kind of start keeping track of it as well. Circus Faye, when do the lively parties have to respond to my protective order or do they not have to? So I don't think the lively parties are going to respond to it. I think, well, they kind of did, but informally. Did they put it in a footnote, didn't they, in one of the filings against Wayfarer or Perez? I can't remember which, but they put like a footnote in to sort of say, you know, Your Honour has already denied these, which technically he has, but you know, we have put it back in to say, hold on a minute, this is why we want it. We've been harassed by pro-livelies over all of this and the insinuations being made. When does the judge have to respond? I'm not sure. When does Lively have to respond? I don't know if she's going to. This is a very strange situation. It's not got a set of rules that I'm aware of. So, because we're technically non-parties, if that makes sense. Because we weren't subpoenaed directly. X was in my case, and Google in other people's, and TikTok. So technically they were subpoenaed and we weren't directly. We obviously responded because these companies are being subpoenaed for our data, not theirs. So we were like, well, hold on a minute, we object to this. We're not happy about it. And it's really hard to know what place we have in this. All we can do is say we're not happy. Had we been directly subpoenaed like Perez or Andy, we would have had standing, I guess, to file motions, etc. So yeah, we just have to lodge our objections and see where it goes. But we have not expected anything from the start, and we have not been disappointed on that front from Judge Lyman. So,
yeah.
In that sense, we haven't. AF, did the judge deny Perez's request for an extension? Oh, are you aware of that?
No, it was. I'm not really sure. I didn't see that.
I'll pull up the docket and have a look.
Because I think he just dropped that today, right?
See.
Okay, order.
Oh, hold on. We do have an order here. I'm just reading it now because it's quite a long order. Yeah, he denied the extension. Yeah, I've got it in front of me. He denied the extension.
Wow.
Yeah, he's denied the extension for the for Perez. Huh. That's kind of him. Apparently, the reason for that is the court has not yet determined whether it has jurisdiction over Lavandiera or authority to compel.
Yeah.
Lavandiera's time to respond to Lively's cross motion does not expire until August the 13th, which is 2 days. So, accordingly, the court does not intend to address the Lively motion, including issues both jurisdictional and otherwise, until at the earliest August 14th. So, there we go. That's what's happened very recently, by the look of it, today, certainly.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, because he actually, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like he can't give a ruling on an extension when Perez has to first respond to if there was jurisdiction for the motion to compel, and then once that's established, then he can give an answer. But I don't know, just bizarre.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to say this one that caught my eye from S. Oh, we need to tell Mr. Hilton to start using footnotes. I dropped a load of hints on Friday when we did our video. Was it Friday or Thursday?
I'm pretty sure it was Friday.
Yeah, it might have been actually. And I was like, because Perez was in the chat. He was in the live stream chat.
Yes.
And I was like, Perez, if you're listening, do this, say that, do this. And I was dropping all these kind of like, this is what you need to do. So footnotes are your friend in these filings. So because you get to use smaller text, and you can if you're using them properly. I mean, predominantly they're for citations. So you just put the case name in the main body, and then you got the rest of it at the bottom, not taking up too much space, especially with letters where you've got a limit. I think it's 3 pages. So there's that. It's also to add context or quotes from judgments, and it can be to give more further information. And the benefit to footnotes is they are 2 points smaller than the main body text, so you can get more information into a letter. But you can also I use them for my snarkier points. Yeah, that's why I find them.
I like your footnotes. Your footnotes are great.
I love footnotes. They are brilliant. I'm looking for questions to see what we got here.
I saw a few good ones go by. Ooh, scroll back up.
I think X said pound sand. Do you know what? X were absolutely useless to me. When I said to them, I'm confused, there's a typo. Does this mean that you have been subpoenaed for my data and are you going to give it over to me? They literally sent me the instructions for how to reboot my X. Have you tried turning your computer on or off? Have you tried clearing your cache and cookies? That was quite I swear, I've got a screenshot of it. I will post it one day.
Oh, you have to post that. And you know what? That sounds more useful than the TikTok one, because did you see Pop Diaries? They sent emails to there was 3 email addresses, when they were researching on TikTok, all 3 email addresses bounced. So then they went into some, I don't know, they found some portal where you can send a message in TikTok, and then the response they got from that was just some generic one that did not answer any of their questions. They never got a copy from TikTok of their subpoena. They never were able to talk to an actual person. So I mean, that's crazy to me.
No, well, yeah, I completely agree. It was wild.
I mean, TikTok didn't even offer for them to clear their cache. They just didn't tell them anything.
Well, I mean, who was it? It was Google weren't much better because they were, no, it's fake. Yes, it's real. No, it's fake. Yes, it's real.
They're like, the email from our legal department is spam.
X did they did tech support.
Yeah.
And then you had TikTok who said nothing. Although X did, in the email, which I never got, by the way, not that it would have been any help to me, it was offering the email or the phone number for the ACLU.
Oh, yeah. I
Like,
remember
like what's that going to do for me?
that. Yeah, that was wild.
Um,
I mean, I think this should be like I'm surprised this hasn't blown up to be a huge story because, like, for me, it totally changed the way that I thought about all of my Google accounts and like the, Google Maps, and it's a huge ecosystem. And I'm like, I'm gonna start eliminating how much I use this and for what, I even had like a Google Voice number that I was like, forget it. Like my private phone number is more safe than my Google Voice one.
yeah.
Because they'll
Yeah,
just
that's
give
wild. I
anything
mean,
over.
I was initially, I was like, oh, I'm really skeptical. But when I was doing, because I did, when I was helping out with the motions to quash, there was multiple motions, and a lot of the legal stuff was myself and Cassidy, and I was dealing with. We did a cross of both the Google ones, and I did the X one. And then when you look at mine and Ashley's, I did the international law for Ashley because she's obviously from Canada, and then I did my own international law. And the one thing it allowed me to do was to look at, for both Google and X, what agreements have they got? Because they can't just hand out data. You've got to go to the right, with X and with Google, the European data handling centers are both in Ireland. You got to write to them. You got to subpoena them, not an American one. And then you got to look. I looked at like what treaties, what directives they'd signed up for, because to be able to operate services in the UK, in Canada, you've got to sign up to various things about how you're going to handle data, how you're going to store it, how you're going to share it, what circumstances. And you can't just hand it out willy-nilly, even when there's a subpoena. So I learned a lot. And actually, if you're like myself, Shusty, or Ashley, we're quite insulated from American subpoenas for
Yeah, well, in
data.
the Pop Diaries motion to quash, it was the first one where we saw the Stored Communications Act. I guess it's the SCA for short.
Mm.
And there's even like specifications in there for like how they can't just turn over certain data and just on a civil subpoena alone. Like there needs to actually be some kind of like court order or judge signing something behind it. So I'm kind of confused why Google and TikTok and X haven't really like caught up to that law yet. But I thought that was really, really interesting because I've never even heard of that. So and Missy was the one who pointed it out to me. She's like, I think this was the first motion to quash where we've seen that addressed. And so, I mean, they really did their homework too. I just kudos to all of you guys. I mean, I think everyone's learned so much from this now and learned, the laws about their data and
I
whatnot.
mean,
It's
I
just
had a head
great.
start. Obviously, I've got the legal background, which it did give me, confidence. Although we don't really deal with this kind of stuff. We don't have, we don't use subpoenas anywhere near as often as Americans do. We have them, but they're used sparingly. And we so I've not done a whole back and forth of, in my career of quashing one or, arguing against one, compelling anything. I haven't had all of that. So from that perspective, I didn't have any experience. And I will say, with my own, I never wrote it in any professional capacity. People keep confusing us and keep saying, "Oh, well, I'm a lawyer, etc., etc." That's not what I said when I read my motion to quash on my live stream. It was written from my perspective as someone who'd been through domestic violence. That's what I wrote it as me, as a pro se, as a person who'd been through domestic violence. It was no more to it than that. And I put my heart and soul into it from that. Probably, too much emotion in many sense, but that was important anyway because, I had to explain my interest in this case, being the marketing let me down. And there was a lot of hope attached to it, that the awareness that it would raise, and that was very real and very very raw. And I wanted to get that into my motion to quash, and I feel like I did.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah, I think I feel like if my takeaway is right, well, I'm proud of what I wrote. I'm operating in laws that I am not qualified in any stretch of the imagination. I freely admit that. But because I am trained in international law, I'm experienced in international law, and when I qualified, I actually was part of like a 27 nation EU. So we had to learn the laws of multiple jurisdictions as well as the EU law that oversaw everything. But also Canada, is kind of is got quite deep ties to the UK anyway, and there's a common law basis, which is what helps me to read American law and Canadian law. So coming with all of that, I've learned so much law, it's untrue. But it's amazing of the kind of overlaps, as well. It's been really, really good. But I was terrified when I filed my motion to quash because it was going on to almost a worldwide stage and I knew it would be critiqued. But I feel proud of myself and it achieved what it needed to do. My data was not thought.
I don't think, I think it only got praise. I didn't see any critiques and
pro-lively.
Oh, there was?
Oh, yeah, the pro-livelies and, which we expected, they find fault with everything, and I was told, well, it's actually because it was effective. That is probably why they're complaining about it. So I take that as a compliment, really. But Natalie's asking, sorry, Natalie, has mainstream media reported on Lively's Lynchman subpoena 107 creators? What's the tone? Short answer is there hasn't been much, has there, from mainstream media on it. There's been one or two articles, and they've been quite. The ones I've seen have been a bit scathing of her, actually. They referred to her as a toxic diva. I think I quoted that in my letter.
Or a bully.
Yeah. I did put a link for the judge to that article.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But I think they've been largely quiet on this, which is wild.
I think it's crazy that they're not covering this more because,
this needs to be covered more. But, again, were we expecting them to cover it more? No. Joe Abad, isn't there a cut-off date for sending out the Costco subpoena?
I think Cassidy here, I have it right here. Let me see. The last day for document discovery, well, I guess would be August 15th.
Yeah.
And then responses to motion compel non-party. So, I would think the last day to send them out would have passed already because they have to have at least 2 weeks to respond.
Yeah, I think so.
So hopefully, I'm sure that
August the 15th is ringing a bell for me.
Yeah.
I've got it here. I have got it in front of me, so I'm just bear with.
But then again, it says all discovery. The deadline would be October 15th. Fact discovery, September 30th. I don't know. I just feel like they don't follow the rules when it comes to subpoenas. These are the people, this whole case started with a sham subpoena. Even people who understand subpoenas did not understand how Van Sham was allowed and how they went about it and how you can have a lawsuit against Doe's for a breach of contract and then withdraw it the day before the New York Times article drops, and how like this untraceable dose, but they knew exactly whose phone to go for from Stephanie Jones. And what does Abel even have to do with Van Zandt? None of it makes any sense.
And the request apparently requested information on Justin Baldoni, which is very specific.
Yeah.
August 15th is the end of the document discovery, including production by non-parties pursuant to subpoena and responses to requests not yet issued. August 22nd, that is the motions to compel. So that's the cutoff for motions to be filed by Lively, assuming. There may be some from Wayfarer, but we're just not hearing about their stuff. So August 22nd, motion is the deadline for motions to compel regarding production by non-parties and responses to requests not yet issued. And then August the 26th is the cutoff for the responses by non-parties to said motions to compel. And that is our timeline. I've got from Eliza Little. Thank you so much. You should be incredibly proud of your motion. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. I am very proud of it. It's a moment in history. It was a headache. I'm not even going to lie. It was like one of the biggest ball aches of my entire life. Because it came out of the blue.
Yeah.
But it was, for me, with my legal background and everything, it was a moment to kind of, I felt like I got to be part of this huge lawsuit briefly, take on, the elite lawyers that are hired by Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, and I'll beat them really because they didn't get my data. For me, I feel like I got to showcase my legal skills. I got to help people, friends who were absolutely terrified of the ramifications of all of this. And I'm hoping that my kids will be proud of me one day, especially my little one who...
Oh, she's going to be so proud. So proud.
I'm hoping so. I hope it will be like a moment, at my funeral, where they'll kind of talk about stuff like this, and Mummy took on Blake Lively, those kind of moments, I am very proud though. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's really lovely. I want my kids to be proud of me, so hopefully
they will. You stood up against this bully, and you guys also exposed like how Ezra and Manat and kind of like operate. I mean, because none of you were able to get any sort of response, and they're giving different explanations for these subpoenas, to the court, to each person. It just sounds different. And then like the fact that they wouldn't verify it, just basically trying to like waste valuable time that you guys needed in order to know if it was legit or not to respond. And then like having the recording from Andy, which thank goodness he had the wherewithal to document them being like, oh, well, we're trying to find out if this subpoena is real or not. And it's like, you issued it. How could you not know it's real?
I know. And that was that was a funny moment actually, because in my motion to quash, I corrected and said, no, he's not breaking the law, and pointed to the case from the Californian Supreme Court, which said, as long as he's given notice at the start and the other person has chosen to proceed under those circumstances, then that is consent obtained. That's the law. And I was like, I got so annoyed with Ezra Hudson constantly misrepresenting stuff. I was like, constantly. No. I was like, and I did run it past Andy beforehand. I was like, look, I want to say this. Are you okay with it? And he was like, yeah, sure. I mean, he was going to do it himself, but it was just like a small little chunk and a footnote to say, actually, this is the law. You're wrong, which gave me great pleasure. Yeah. But then when she was trying to arrange, like a few days after, she was trying to arrange her meet and confer with me over email. Honest to God, I had 4 emails like, you can't record us. We're a two-party state, and you two-party consent state, and you can't record us. I was like, woman, I just schooled you. I know
Yes.
the law.
Yeah. I mean, if you stay on, and his whole point, he said when he called, he's like, this is on a recorded line because I can't
Yeah,
seem to get a direct answer about what is going on with these subpoenas. And so
yeah.
he
And
gave
if
his
you carry
reasoning.
on, that is consent.
Mm-hmm.
You have the choice to say, sorry, I'm not going to, I don't give consent. I'm not going to proceed unless you withdraw your, you stop recording. That's all she had to do. Natalie's saying, so I haven't seen the UK Times article on Ken's. I will be looking out for that.
Was it the UK Times? I think on my profile I thought it was like the India Times or something.
Oh,
Or it
is
just
it?
says the Times. Let me see what
I need to read it. I need to catch up with this stuff. But I have heard a
oh, it
lot
is the
about
UK
it.
Times. Okay. So if you go to my profile, I posted it.
Oh, fab! I'll definitely be doing that. I will be looking at that because it's great that it's the Times in the UK is a huge news outlet, so that's quite important. They picked it up there. I'm quite excited by that, and
And it,
obviously, they've done a good article, and they've done justice to Ken's as well, who is just an amazing person.
oh, she
Then
really
I'm
is.
happy.
And the headline for it says, I had one follower on YouTube, but Blake Lively subpoenaed me. And then it says the actress targeted 107 social media content creators for allegedly being part of Justin Baldoni's smear campaign. That includes me, a stay-at-home mom in Kansas.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
actually, it looks like she wrote it. It says first person, and then it says Mackenzie Fox. So maybe she wrote it. I mean, that's good for her. Honestly, I think I love her. I think she's so witty, and I would have never probably ran across her if she hadn't been subpoenaed. So thank you, Blake Lively.
just this is a quick one-word answer. As a person who comments on videos about the case, can I write to the judge to ask you whether I've been subpoenaed under an obsolete
No,
email? Seriously. The answer is no.
no.
One person did actually try to intervene, didn't they? Because they were a fan of Popcorn Planet and they were
Yeah,
worried about
that's and
litigation.
it was not that great, I don't think, in my opinion.
No.
What was
It,
written seemed very not helpful at all.
no, I think Andy even come out and said, I appreciate the sentiment, but but the thing is subscribe when they were asking for subscriber information, like that confused everyone at first because technically, if I have a channel, then people who subscribe to it are the subscribers. But in this context of these subpoenas, it was us because we have to subscribe to YouTube ourselves to be able to build a channel and run a channel on it. So, like for the Google subpoenas, which included the YouTube accounts, it was us actually. Although with me it was obviously X, but it was people like Lauren or Andy or Ashley who were technically subpoenaed and their data. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, I've got I don't know 400,000 subscribers. Do they want all of those people's details?" And people were worried
Yeah,
about
no.
losing subscribers left, right, and center. But it was never going. No, she didn't want the information of the subscribers of the channels, just the kind of content creators. If
Yeah,
that
but
makes
still, they
sense.
want the credit card information and banking,
Yeah,
and it's totally over the top. And then there was a question here from P. I guess that the username says P. It says the Argentinian CC was included in the original subpoena with the
I was looking
731.
for that. I
But
was
but
looking for
that
that.
but
No, it
that's
wasn't.
it's not because I checked his X handle name because he also
Yeah.
the other thing with him is his like YouTube name handle was like different than his YouTube channel. So I checked both of those and I checked it across all three actually subpoenas, both of those names, and it's not on those. So this was definitely a different one. And his was written in Spanish. Um, so I mean maybe, they did just give like a translated one, but it definitely wasn't from the original.
Okay, so I've got a question from one of my moderators. Some Reddit users are speculating that the judge may be granting most of Lively's requests so that, if he ultimately dismisses the case at summary judgment, she will have little ground to appeal. The theory is that by giving her nearly everything she asked for, the judge limits her ability to argue that she was treated unfairly and that he may already suspect her case lacks merit. It's hard to say what the judge is thinking, so I can't say whether he thinks her case lacks merit or not, because I don't know, and I would have to speculate on what's going through the judge's mind. I've been saying for months, since the motion to dismiss, actually, since most of the lively parties, Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, etc., New York Times, since they were all dismissed on the 9th of June, I've been saying that I believe that the judge is given her, and well, no, actually, I'll go back even further. I've been saying this since the Friedman letter was struck, because I was doing videos on it then. I've been saying then that a lot of the reason I think that he is giving Lively what she wants is because Wayfarer can still defend their case. They are still defendants, and they can still defend and clear their name, which they clearly intend to do. Because, and the other thing I have always said is, if they had done motions to dismiss themselves, Wayfarer, if they had tried to dismiss themselves from Lively's lawsuit, I think they would have been granted. I think they would have been out of this. Because Lively's pleadings didn't have much of a legal basis either. That it was all PR and let's throw in all the screenshots and everything we can, fill it. They were not, from both sides, they were not normal complaints.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think, things like the deposition, like letting her choose where to, the venue of her choosing, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Silly little things. It isn't going to cost Wayfarer any, well, it's not, it might minor inconvenience and big, but they're both still in the same part of New York. It's literally 2-mile difference between the two offices. So for the judge to say, okay, she can choose where she has her deposition, later on she now can't complain that, well, I felt unsafe. She can't do that because the judge took that away from her. And I've been saying that about a lot of his decisions, whilst they look biased. And I'm not saying that there isn't some bias there, because of some of the language is quite, it feels like the judge is making, stating an opinion, which he really shouldn't do. But yeah. I do think there have been a lot of concessions that at this point gone in Lively's favour. Later on, she's got no grounds to appeal. I really don't think so. So,
but still, then you can see things like when he admonished Friedman, for the affidavit about the Taylor Swift subpoena, that he only responded to because Gottlieb was whining about it on the docket, and then Gottlieb doesn't get scolded at all, and it's like, but that has nothing to do with Lively getting favored or not. So it's just like he's just so. It makes it.
But no, I understand. I get that. That's fine. If Wayfarer's legal team had put out a motion, I mean, they didn't respond with a motion to say, well, what about their letter? So I do get that, but Friedman's letter did cause a media frenzy. It did, and that can put the case at risk. I absolutely think Friedman's got something, because for a lawyer to sit and write and sign an affidavit, which is so much more powerful than a declaration, like the one James Fatuska, for instance, signed, he's got something, and he was prepared to put his career on the line to say, I've got something.
Mm-hmm. But
what it did do was cause the media to go absolutely nuts. And I do understand the judge's point. I do understand the judge's point. At the end of the day, the judge has to protect the case from prejudice of any kind. And, what he does not want is something that Lively can appeal later. Again, he's taken that away from her. If he'd left that letter on the docket, Lively could could have put in an appeal at the end of all of this over it. It could have ended up in a mistrial potentially. It could have tainted the jury pool. There are so many things that could have gone wrong with it. So that's why he struck it. I think Friedman knew that was going to come, to be honest. And the reason that the judge got with Friedman is because there were more discreet ways for Friedman to have brought the issue in front of the judge. He could have called him at the chambers. He could have, done a Zoom call or something and say, look, I've got these concerns. It did not need to go into a public docket.
No, I appreciate your side because, like I said, I want to be brought back more to, like, feeling like the judge is not totally, corrupt or, like, I don't want to say a bad word, but, like, an idiot.
Yeah.
But, like, I do. That's why I was like, okay, I like hearing your balance, to try to bring me back to reality because, like, I'm so far gone. Like, I mean, I even made some AI songs where I called him a blockhead. Like, I'm just, like, so gone. Like, it's going to take a lot to get me back to normal. But
I do get it. I do get it. It's just obviously I'm coming from a perspective where I see it more often. It's still a very different system to what we have in the UK. So some of this is new. But then I'm understanding. I can at least appreciate, like, unanimously, the legal commentators, myself included, we all expected the motions to dismiss for everyone to have been dismissed. The bit we didn't expect was that Ryan Reynolds in particular would be with prejudice. That was the bit we now, but the judge has made his decision on that. There's not much we can do about it, and Wayfarer clearly chose not to refile with those those weaker complaints. But they have options later on, so it's not the end of the road at all. We're far away from that. There's still a long way to go, and there is many paths for them to win this. I think Lively's, as much as the motions to dismiss were infuriating, the biggest hit so far for me, from a legal's perspective, in this entire lawsuit, has been one that Lively took, and that was losing her intentional emotional distress claims.
Well, she chose, though, to withdraw that.
She didn't have to, though, because if the evidence is there, then it backs up what you've said. I could not get out of bed. I couldn't leave the home. I lost jobs. I couldn't care for my kids. That is what she said. She alleged her husband had emotional distress. She alleged her kids had emotional distress, which would have long-lasting effects. They were serious allegations. Now she's just whipped them out because she doesn't want to provide the evidence.
Exactly.
She must have been told that she would have to provide evidence for that level of complaint. And the garden variety is not a high bar at all. Obviously, she doesn't really need to bring evidence at all. But it's, if someone has been genuinely sexually harassed, then what they're saying is, well, she will have experienced something. And bear in mind, she has to prove that she was sexually harassed, firstly. But then they were saying, well, the damages for emotional distress will just be, standard level of what you'd expect.
And not remember,
be acrophobic. Yeah. But she was, she was alleging some very high bar psychiatric injuries almost. And now they've gone. But to have to concede, no, I'm not going to claim them. That was a big thing.
That was big. But also, she told Megan Twohey that it wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah, and that would have come in bitter on the backside, I think, because Wayfarer will use, if Wayfarer got any common sense, they will use that to death and back. Especially the bit where she says, well, I've had worse. Well, great. Why did you not pull them into a courtroom? Why did you not subpoena, over 100 content creators over it?
And that the smear campaign was worse or something. And it's like, but now we're finding out there is no smear campaign. So now you're really like, now everything looks bad. And, I've seen comments where it's like, okay, after the end of discovery, you know, Wayfarer will probably do like a motion for summary judgment to get like the retaliatory claims dismissed and the defamation, whatever, because there's nothing at this point.
Yeah, no, there is nothing.
Subpoenas to Argentina, you have nothing. So,
and I will say one thing about the motion to dismiss with regards to Lively's defamation claim. Well, the claim for defamation against Lively by Wayfarer. I will go as far as to say I actually think the judge did Wayfarer a favour by getting them off the hook for that, because of the Section 47.1. It only applied to the defamation claim. Now the defamation claim's gone. It's dismissed. So that should not be an issue. And the judge, I would be surprised. I don't think she's going to apply for the Section 47.1 damages. I just don't see it. If she does, I'll be interested to see how the judge rules on that, because he didn't consider it when he dismissed the claim. So, you know, I'm aware that he invited her to apply for it, but I don't think she'll make it stick. And that's a big deal, though, because those kind of damages at the costs of these lawyers, especially we factor in charges such as 107 subpoenas. You know, they got to, and if all of them had stuck, they would have to collate all that data, go through it. Those are all billable hours. That's racking up huge charges. So I think the judge did do Wayfarer a bit of a solid one there by just getting them off the hook for that. Tiffany, can us regulars write amicus briefs? Well, Colonel Kurtz did, and it went nowhere. I don't recommend it, though. She would like to write about these shady subpoenas. Don't worry, girl, I got you. We did that.
Yeah, and also she did it as like from the point of view of like a professor who has, you know, studied like feminism, the women's movement, and you know, it was like she had some sort of like invested interest in the outcome of seeing something like this. So it's different from a regular person. But yeah, I mean, your guys' letters and, you know, for the protective orders and sanctions, I think are so much more powerful than any amicus brief we've seen. Like on the other side, the ones that were advocating for Lively were so bad. So I think you guys, you've basically done something even better.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, we were technically told you've got no standing, and it was our data. But because we weren't directly subpoenaed, we were told, well, we've got no standing. The only good thing that come from us writing our motions to quash or attending meet and confers, we didn't, by the way, just to clarify that, but the people who didn't do the motions, all the subpoenas were withdrawn. And that, you know, when you want something to just, you don't want someone to have your data, and that's that. For some people, that was their objective, was just for that, which is absolutely great. But it did invite a bunch of us to basically put in public record why we do not like Blake Lively, why we don't believe her, and where she went wrong. You know, with her, what we think this PR thing was. Well, I call it a PR crisis. Blake Lively herself called it a PR crisis in her first amended complaint. So, you know, it keeps changing its terms. But yeah, it's so I don't think that anyone else is gonna. I don't think the judge is gonna pay any attention to anyone else filing anything about these subpoenas, especially if you're not implicated in them. But you know, by all means, I'm not telling anyone that they can't either.
And I think we're going to get some interesting things on the docket soon. I think because, you know, Wayfarer has to respond to the motion for sanctions against Freeman, and like whatever their other two like obnoxious filings were. And I think at least one of those is due this week. So
yeah, definitely. Do we know? So the content creator from Argentina, Christine, is has just asked a question. So the content creator from Argentina has just a few days to respond, or his subpoena obsolete. He wasn't on the original ones, and no one yet knows what the deadlines are, what the dates are that the subpoena was served, what the deadlines are to respond. We don't have that information. I don't want to assume that the deadlines we had on ours apply to this one, because I'm guessing these are separate and potentially new subpoenas. So he might have more time.
We found out about them like on July 11th was when she said that they were going to subpoena like 60 more. So it definitely is a different batch, but I mean, who knows what the date is for there. And he seems like a very big channel and he knows what he's doing. So I'm sure he's responded. I am concerned about Leslie G. I haven't seen a motion to quash from her.
No, well, I did reach out and she did accept my help. The problem is then she was offline she didn't look at her TikTok messages for days, and the deadline come and went, and there's nothing I could have done at that point. So, I don't know. I don't know what's happened. I'll message her actually later and just see if she's heard anything.
Unless she got an attorney, I mean, then that would be a reason why. I mean,
no,
maybe
she didn't. She didn't. I was going to be helping her with that, but I didn't get responses because I needed to know what her jurisdiction was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's very nice of you. Thank you for reaching out to her.
Yeah. No. Well, I've been where she's been, so I do get it.
And I feel like that should be a headline. I mean, just the fact that like just another DV victim who, the movie resonated with her, but she felt like betrayed by the marketing, and that's basically all she said. And then she's getting subpoenaed. It's like one of the worst like PR disasters in history, and I'm just surprised like it's been so quiet. But MSM is very strange like that. They want to wait and see and make sure that Lively doesn't, that her claims are, BS before they go after a story like this.
Alexandrina is asking, in Abel versus Jones, what's the deadline to compel the documents regarding Van Zandt? Do we know that one?
No, they just got another extension, and it's their last one, because the judge said he's not going to give any more for them.
I'll pull up the docket now. Do you want to? I don't know. If you find another one, and I'll pull up the docket and find it now.
Says, okay, this one. What about Ryan still being on the subpoena and information about him being requested through subpoenas? Is that legit? I mean, in my opinion, that's just another reason the subpoena should not be legit. And Leanne mentioned it in hers. I think most of the other people did as well. And I just saw his name in something else too. Oh yeah, and I think it was in Perez's. So that's a good question, AF. Let me see. They have Van Cham. Ryan is all over that. I mean, that is something really funny too. Just the fact that like he got like a get out of jail free card, basically Ryan did, to get out of this lawsuit, and then like it adds himself back in by making himself CEO of Van Zandt. I'm like, what are you doing?
Okay, I got the deadlines for the Jones one. So they want to the motions to compel. So they're moving the deadline to tomorrow for the filing of the motion to compel, and the deadline for the response is due on the 15th. Then.
I mean, Van Cham is like my Roman Empire of this whole case. I think like. I mean, I just don't understand how anything they got from it can be considered legit, because the way they got it is not legit. I mean, and the whole timeline, and that's why I posted like this video today that from Candace Owens back in April when she found out about Van Sham, and she was like, this is insane. You know, and she said they didn't even get this subpoena until like a month after Jones had the phone. And it just seems like a like a cover your own butt type ordeal. And then just the whole thing is so sketchy. And then they drop it right before the New York Times article drops. It just seems calculated, and I don't know.
It does. It really is. And to answer Sharon's question here, as I'm in the UK, Leanne does the two-party state thing count. I respected it because, you know, it is their law. Could they really have enforced it? I think they would have had a hard time, though, if I wanted to. Like, if I had to cancel the meeting of her because my little one was poorly. But if I had attended and I had actually chosen to discreetly record, I really don't see that they could have done much about that. You know, you know, as someone who, you know, my background in law, as if I'm sort of collaborating or working with someone who has laws in place like that, then I will respect that.
Yeah, and even if you didn't, I think they would be too scared to follow up with anything more with Leanne. They're like, I don't think they want to mess with you again.
No, well, I don't know. They probably would have given it a good go. But I was kind of glad that they, you know, that we didn't get to that point in the end anyway. I mean, I'm still curious as to what they would have asked me, but
I don't know. Yeah. I think they were looking for people just to pin this on and to blame. I think, you know, I think they think people maybe wouldn't have fought back, and they could have just made up this whole story when they got all this information and data from people, and they could just, you know, it's kind of easy to manipulate, you know, data and whatnot and be like, look, they had these coordinated things. There's people from all across the globe, and they were all talking about it around the same time. But, you know, even though that's not the case, but I just think that they were going for maybe something like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I mean, it feels so strange that I did that. It feels strange that I filed that. I don't know how to explain it. I'm still on a bit of a
shock from it. I know. I mean, it is insane. And but this whole case just it feels insane. And who was it? I think it was like Brett posted something like the Emperor's New Clothes, like a GIF about that. And I was like, that's what it feels like this whole thing is. I just feel like we keep Blake keeps saying all these things that doesn't make sense. And the judge keeps going along with it, and we're all watching, and we're like, this is all nonsense.
And we got a question here from Jason, who says, do we think that Blake Lively subpoenaed the Friedman law firm for phone records to see who gave him the Taylor Swift text message?
Mm-hmm.
I think I have said in every video about this, including the one we did Friday, that's exactly what's happened. Mm-hmm. Because she didn't subpoena the details of the people who were in the phone records. She didn't want the names or anything. She wanted the phone numbers, the date and time, and the duration of the calls. And my speculation is that around February the 14th, she wanted to see who Brian Friedman called back. Because there was speculation it was Taylor Swift's dad. But, you know, family members of Taylor Swift, she would have recognized their number.
Yep.
I think that's the whole thing here is, you know, and it's like Candace as well said that they subpoenaed her for information in February 2025. Well, Candace broke she had the source that told her it was Scott Swift.
Yeah, and you know, the interesting thing though with that is that they did not tell Candace that was what they were looking for. They told her lawyers that they wanted to make sure she wasn't given talking points or wasn't paid or something, and that's not true. I mean, they want to know who her source is, and that gave her, because she's the one who broke that about the dad.
Yeah, exactly. I got another question here from Super Sarah. Does the motion for summary judgment come after fact discovery or expert discovery? So it comes after both. The deadline for motions for summary judgment is November the 5th. So it will be after both fact and expert discovery. I'm just looking for more questions. Okay, another one from Super Sarah. Can garden variety bring in as much damages as severe? No, not even close. It's really kind of nominal token amounts. Intentional infliction of emotional distress can bring in huge sums, but garden variety is kind of like your basic, here's a bit of money for your trouble. It's next to nothing, and most of the time it's not even worth bringing them. Sorry, I'm just looking for.
Someone said, isn't something from Wayfarer due today? I think it is.
I don't have to look.
I'm pretty sure it is the response for the sanctions, I think.
Yeah, it could be. You could be right, actually. Super Sarah, that's a. I'll come to that one in a minute.
Next week. Sorry, that's next week.
Super Sarah, do you think Lyman wanted to avoid the Section 47.1 issue? Yeah, absolutely, because it was a case of what we call first impression, which means that it's the first case to go into a court on this specific subject. Section 47.1 is a brand new law, and it's quite complex. And I don't think any judge really wants to have to be the first to make a ruling. It's a hard situation. I think he would have been torn because on the one hand, you want to support a woman who is alleging sexual harassment, but on the other hand, the Amicus briefs are really trying to broaden it in real time. Like, oh, well, even discovery is abusive. No,
I'm so glad those are off the docket. Even reading them, it felt like they were screaming, like screeching. It just felt so like they were so bad. And to correct myself, actually, I think the response to the motion to compel is due today, and then the sanctions, I want to say it's due next week, so on the 18th.
Is it possible Lyman is smearing Wayfarer and denigrating them so that their appeal won't be taken as seriously? No, I don't get that at all. If anything, he's strengthening Wayfarer's chances at appeal, because some things are, questionable, and a lot of the legal commentators have raised our eyebrows or, questioned the logic behind the rationale. So I think he's strengthening Wayfarer's position at an appeal whilst weakening Lively's, which is great. So you either hope that Wayfarer win outright at trial, in which case Lively currently, as it stands, has no legs to appeal because she's had everything. She's had all the rulings go in her favour. On the other side, though, if they don't, then they can proceed to an appeal, and because they protected the issue, i.e., they didn't appeal the motions. They didn't appeal the motions to dismiss. So they will be doing that later on because they didn't refile the economic claims. They have basically protected all of the motions to dismiss, so they can choose what they want to take to appeal. And we don't know what that looks like yet, but they will, and they won't be making that decision yet. They'll see how it all plays out and what the trial is like. But no, I don't think Lyman's smearing them at all. I think again, he's still doing them favors.
Yeah, and I feel like he holds their hand, when he tells them like how to do things or what they need to do to respond. It's just like he's definitely helping them, I think, as much as he can, and they still do things wrong. Like the second amended complaint, to establish jurisdiction for Judd Wallace, I don't see it at all. And don't know when, the timeline for that, but I just feel like that just needs to be done with already. I want that to go away because
I don't think that she has made the case for Jed Wallace to be staying in this now, and I'm hoping that it will get dismissed with prejudice. I was actually surprised she went for New York again because she clearly did not hit the mark the first time round, and that was even with an extra, bite of the cherry, so to speak, because they both got to file those additional letters as well over the jurisdictional issue, like the week before the decision came in to dismiss him. And I thought there was nothing left. And then when she refiled, so I was saying to people, oh, do you know what? I don't see her going to Texas, but I can see her trying California.
California, yeah, I think she could.
And she could, but when she refiled in New York, I was really surprised. Because when I saw the second amended complaint for the reason she is still trying to get him in New York, which is,
Tag.
she was interviewed by, it was tagged, but also, I was interviewed on a New York-based,
journalist. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what? I put up an Instagram post wearing jeans saying I'm a New York lady. Oh, come on. Please. That is not holding Jed Wallace to New York. And if I think the judge will throw it out, and I'm hoping this time it will be with prejudice, which means she cannot then go and file it somewhere else. And that'll be the end of it.
And I think the only reason she went for New York again is they are so desperate to try to pull in. There was some coordination between like Tag and Jed Wallace because, these last things with Tag, I mentioned it to you earlier today, but like how during the discovery, so basically those two former employees of Tag, like Kosla and Case, I think, I don't know if I'm saying their names right.
Case.
Yeah. So basically, so the judge ordered for them, they had to turn over the information to Lively, and so they used Lively's data extraction company to get their information. And then I am not sure exactly how this happened, but apparently, the attorneys are supposed to take out everything that was privileged, and somehow there was over 260 documents or something that weren't removed, and so the now Lively's team has them, and now they're saying that they should have access to them, and so now they filed a motion to compel for those, and it's they're trying so hard to get these two people somehow involved in this case, and I don't know what they're going to find from them. I mean, I guess their anchor is Judge Wallace, but the timeline even doesn't really make sense, and I don't know. No. I don't know what they're going to get.
I haven't read too much on that one. I've literally just added the docket to my kind of all my tabs, so I need to read into that. But I mean, to be sending over 200 documents which are privileged to the opposition, and then saying sorry, can we have them back? That is a bad case of negligence on behalf of the lawyers acting for the Kozlow case. It is. So that was ridiculous. That shouldn't have happened. That happened to Johnny Depp, actually.
I remember that happened to Depp too.
Yeah, in the UK trial, they were supposed to hand over some of his documents, but they actually turned over the whole lot, which is how Amber Heard got, the texts which were a bit derogatory towards her, and clearly sent out of anger. So yeah, I mean, that's bad. I don't know if they're going to get them back off Lively, but
well, I don't even know if I actually entirely believe them. I mean, maybe they did turn it over, but I mean, I still have this this theory that that they got a bunch of things, before Van Zandt, or they used Van Zandt after, so I feel like they already had all this data. And remember, they were still tracking her phone until she realized that she had to change the iCloud. So until January of this year. So I think that they have stuff that they're not supposed to have. And some of these subpoenas are trying to to legitimize it and cover their butt so that they supposedly have it above board. And I think that's what they're trying so hard to do with these ones. I mean, and maybe the attorneys did hand it over. I don't know, but it is strange that Lively's company did the extraction. So I just don't trust it. I really don't.
No, exactly. AKA the cat lady. There was an amicus brief for Wayfarer. Kennel Kurtz wrote and filed an amicus brief. It hasn't appeared on the docket, so we can assume that there was either a problem with it and it didn't get filed, or the judge didn't allow it to go on the docket.
It was because it happened when I think right after the case was dismissed, so it didn't apply anyways.
Yes, because I did a live stream with her about her amicus brief, and it was within days of her filing, but it was also the same week that they were dismissed. Super Sarah is asking, is there a deadline for library to appeal the 47.1 issue or Wayfarer to appeal dismissal? There will be, but it will be after the trial is completed. I'm not quite sure how long I know it's like the 3rd or 6th of March, but
but they're going to change the date, I think, a few times before we get there.
They may do, yeah. That's why I'm kind of not holding myself too tightly to it, but I also don't know how long they've allocated yet for the actual trial. I'm expecting it to take quite a while, so we'll know more about that as we get through to it. Christine's asking, but the discovery has a deadline. Yes, it does. It's the document discovery is the 15th of August, and the all fact discovery then is the 30th of September, and the expert discovery is the October the 15th, and it also says all discovery, so that is fact, document, and expert discovery all by the October the 15th. So that's the deadline. I'm just going through questions. So Danielle's asking, didn't the judge say at the beginning of this year that if he thought there was too much PR shenanigans, he would reschedule the date to an earlier date? Potentially, yeah. I mean, they've still got to allow discovery, though. You can't rush to a trial without discovery being completed. Yes, you could bring it forward in theory.
Well, Leanne, I really look forward to you reading documents. It's 585, 586, and 587 regarding this whole motion to compel of the privileged documents from the extraction of these third parties, because the whole thing is so. I had some notes on it, but it was so much that I was like, I'm not going to post all this because I was kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with it, and it was during all last week where everything else kind of dropped at this avalanche of other things. Normally this would have been a huge, we all would have been talking about it, but there were so many other things last week. I feel bad. It kind of fell through the cracks because, I mean, one of the things is I want to say, God, Case. Case's dad her father is an attorney. And so, she's citing privilege, and they're saying, well, it's your dad. He's not your attorney, so it's not privilege. I mean, there's so many little strange things that they're trying to argue in order to get these say that these documents are legit. And I don't think they actually will say anything that's going to help live at this point.
No, that's true. I mean, I can't wait to read these, actually. I'll probably be catching up with them tomorrow, because we said we will be doing this regular. We were going to do it on a Monday, but we've decided, haven't we, that we'll do it on a Friday at the same time. It will be
or an hour later.
1 hour later, so that'll be 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll do every Friday. We'll do a question and answer thing, because then we'll have had the whole week of filings. I'm just going to get to Super Sarah as well. Do you think Marvel and Ryan Reynolds will be sued from the family of the stunt woman who was killed during Deadpool filming? The official report says her death was caused by negligence of production. No, I don't think they're going to be sued. Yeah. I think there was some kind of settlement. From what I've heard, it wasn't, anywhere.
Insurance. They always
there'd be insurance and things. I think there was something, and a long time has passed as well. So I'm not sure if there's a statute of limitations. But no, I can't see a lawsuit coming at this point. P is asking, are we waiting on something from Jones?
Yeah, I'm waiting for her to check herself into a mental hospital. I'm just kidding.
A psychic to tell her whether she's going to win or lose.
She's just like, I think she just needs to do a wellness retreat and get out of this, because I mean, hers is one of the worst of it all, because I think at the end of the day, Blake is going to, save herself. So her scapegoat is going to be Jones. Jones, like, her filings are so insane. And the crazy part is, like, I know the new lawyer that she has, the one that's doing most of the California stuff. And, well, I mean, I guess we just haven't seen a lot of it on the New York docket because he was doing dealing with the subpoenas in California for now. But I had questions about him because he's representing someone that I was rooting for in another case. And I kind of felt like he wasn't doing enough in that case. So
yeah,
watching him, exactly. I'm kind of like, okay, well, I don't even think he believes her.
No, I don't either. So I've got another question here actually from S. Leanne, are you enjoying YouTube, and do you see yourself covering a specific type of content that you would like post-lively trial loss in 2026? Keen to know what you're interested in. So yes, I've got a few things coming up. I will be covering the Rebel Wilson lawsuit.
Oh, good. CJ
yeah,
that one.
Yeah, CJ talked me into it. So I will be. I cover what I'm interested in. I was umming and ahhing about the Diddy, but it was too hard hitting for me. Some of the topics, and at the time, this case was just going full on, so it was just crazy, and I was very much, I'm dealing with this, and I was kind of the resident expert in this, which I was happy enough to do. I do have some other things though coming up. I will be with CJ. I will be doing a segment on weird and unusual laws that are still in force. So we're going to pick a date in the week to do that. We've kind of floated that a little bit, and given a bit of a preview of what it's going to look like. But it's like the most strangest and funniest laws that are still in place now. Example, in Florida, on Thursdays, you are not allowed to break wind. It is illegal to break wind after 6 p.m. So, yeah, so that's going to be one thing, because I just like the very strange, and that will also include weird and wonderful cases as well, because obviously being in the UK, home of the Tower of London, we have got a combination of some really crazy cases that have been heard, and also we've got access to medieval and historical crime and punishment, infamous murders and crimes. So I'll be doing that with Cassidy as well. So there's quite a few things going on. It'll all be around law, but it will be funny and lighthearted, and it will be something to break up kind of the big pop culture cases. I also took an interest, I don't know where it's going to go, in Kanye West suing his dentist. That hasn't happened yet. If it happens, I might cover it. But and Russell Brand, when that goes to trial, I'll cover that.
Yeah, that one seems interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a random question. Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
No, I'm off topic here, but I just because I had sent in a request for documents in the courthouse. It's like right outside Chicago, to get the documents for the guy who did the arson and threats against Steve Sarowitz. And, they told me there was going to be, between like a 3-week and 3-month turnaround. And I still haven't heard anything. And so if anyone lives near, and of course, I'm going to space out and forget the actual name of the courthouse right now, but it's like right outside Chicago. So if you have any like people who live around there, I can give you the information, and I will pay for like parking and for the documents and everything. But I'm just hoping to get a copy of the most recent documents, because he had a hearing recently and there's like another one coming up. So I just want to make sure I keep tracking that one, because to me, that's a really big deal. And there is something just so not right with the whole thing. The fact that like he was quoting the Forbes article, and no, it's not Cook County. That's what I thought originally, Ocean. And I'll get it for you right now. Hold on.
I'm just going to quickly read this from 19K Kitchen Kiddo. Thank you very much for the super chat. Doesn't Jen Abel have a right to receive a copy with metadata from the extraction company in her case? It's a bit tricky. They were alleging privilege because Stephanie Jones is also claiming that she used the company for her separate, although not entirely separate, case against the creators of the websites that she's saying were defaming her. So, and the judge has already kind of denied that motion to compel the subpoena on the basis of privilege. Also, although it's her data, that it was a company phone, so it's a bit difficult to say yes, she's definitely entitled to it. I think it will come down to the judge, really. But they may be able to get it other ways. When the same thing happened to me in my marriage with my phone had been completely erased because that was my ex-husband's specialty in technology. So he did this thing called flashing the phone, which is you can't recover the data. So whatever he did, you couldn't recover it. What he forgot to do was to erase the things like the records that Google held on any monitoring apps he downloaded, or stuff on iTunes, etc. So there are other ways to get the information.
And also wasn't Edgeworth? Was that the name of the security company?
Edgeworth,
yeah. So they're the ones who did the extraction. And then remember, there was that ruling where Wayfarer was trying to get access to some of the communications between, I think it was Jones and Edgeworth, and they were saying they're privileged, even though they're the ones that did the extraction of Abel's phone. So, I mean, that whole thing is, I don't know. I'm still so confused about that.
Yeah, it is. It's a real tricky crossover because the phone, although it was a company phone, even though it had personal data on it. So, who has ownership of the data, and that is part of the whole case. Is whose data, who does it belong to? And there's an argument for both, because obviously it was a Jones Works phone, and it was being used for Jones Work business. But however, if it sounds like there was an agreement in place that Jen Abel could use it as a personal phone, so Jones would have been aware that it had personal data on. Well, and it goes back to what I was saying about, what I found out when I was doing my motion to quash with from the international perspective. When I said, well, I actually found out all the agreements that had to be in place, for these tech companies to be operating, on how they store your data, how they use the data. Jones Works, I would have thought there would have to be something in place.
No, and I'm pretty sure there is, because this happened in California, and they also have their own separate laws about this, about what she could only take stuff that was relevant to work, work email, but not as much as whatever she got. And I don't know that.
Yeah. Just to respond to this from Sanchez. Sorry, I'm getting tired now. Yes, it was Jennifer Abel's personal phone number, but she was using it, as part of the company work as well. So because the two were kind of, the lines were blurred. So, the device did belong to Jones Work, and it was being used for Jones Work business matters. The phone number did belong to Jen Abel, and she put it on the company phone, and she was using it for both business and personal. So that is where things become confusing over who has right of ownership. So, I mean, yes, she is entitled. It is her personal phone number, but she also willingly agreed to put it on a work phone.
And then just to follow up on what I was saying before, it was the Lake County Circuit Court in Waukegan. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Waukegan, Illinois. So it's like right outside Chicago. And again, if anyone is around there, near there, please let me know, because I'm waiting on these documents, and I definitely want to make sure I follow that because that's a side story of this that's also huge.
Yeah, definitely. It is definitely. I can't see any more questions, so I am going to wrap up there. Well, we got the chance. But I really hope that everyone enjoyed this. So, like I say, we're going to be doing this at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fridays every week. So, you know, if people want to ask questions, they can message you as well, can't they?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can send us both messages on X or Instagram, or you know, come into the comments. And we do our best to see the comments, but obviously they're moving quite quickly, so it wasn't the easiest.
Oh yeah, they can just leave the comments on the video after.
Yeah, leave your comments on the video as well afterwards. Yeah, if we don't have an immediate answer, then we will go and look and try to come to the next stream with the answers. So
yeah, and you guys have great questions. Like, it takes a village to cover this case. I'm not kidding. Like, there's so much, and it just doesn't end.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been the gift that it's given. But thank you everyone for coming. I really enjoyed this. It's nice to not be just reading documents and stuff. It's like actually answering questions. That's been fun.
Yeah, well, thank you, Leanne.
Oh no, thank you for joining me. So now we have a regular segment, yeah?
Yeah.
Fabulous. I will let the I'm sure they've heard that anyway, but I'll let Laura, Christina, and Megan know. And thank you so much for joining me and helping me with this.
Yeah, thank you.
We will be back on Friday now at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll have some updates then. So.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure we will.
All right, then. Well, take care, everyone.
Have a good week, everyone. Happy Monday.
All right, bye.